Hello, and welcome to Yodacast episode 1. We should have a few episodes that go through varying aspects of Yoda, from what Yoda is all the way through some advanced tips and tricks to kind of get you up and running pretty quickly. For this episode, we'll go over what Yoda is, how it can benefit you in your daily work, and then how to install it on your machine, and last but not least, a quick demo so you can see it in action. What is Yoda? Yoda is a Docker Dev environment orchestration tool, and unlike a lot of the other orchestration tools that you'll find out there, like Kubernetes, Fleet, things of that nature, those are really designed for production environments. And what I mean by that is all the code's contained inside the container. You put it in a prod system, and away you go. However, the developer side is really lacking, and what I mean by that is getting a tool that can check out your code, that can get your containers up and running, vol mounted in different ways. Again, ease of use for your development environment. And that's basically what Yoda aims to do. So, um, so Yoda will do everything from pulling already made repositories, cloning code, composer updating, um, and any number of things that are required to get your project set up on your machine. So, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at how to get it installed on your machine. So first off, what you want to do is head over to the Yoda GitHub page, which is kcmerrill/Yoda, and you can see here there's an experimental installation. It is experimental. The only reason why I say that is it's only been cooking now for about a week or two. Um, and so, however, I haven't found too many issues with it. This is honestly the way to go if you are going to use Yoda. All Yoda is a PHP application, so all you'd have to do is install PHP, get Composer up and running, and then symlink it in your path somewhere. Having said that, though, the experimental installation is just simply inside a Docker container. All that this requires is a machine that has Docker access without sudo. Of course, if you don't have sudo access, you can just simply edit this alias to have sudo in front of it. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. Um, and as you can see here, I don't have Yoda installed, so I'm just going to paste this alias in. And I'm going to run Yoda just to make sure that it is up and running. And as we can see here, it is. The next thing that we recommend with Yoda is that you have a folder with all of your repositories in it. I'll kind of explain that here in just a moment, but as you can see here, I've got quite a few of my projects here, and they're all under a folder called code. The reason why this is important is there's some functionality, and we'll get into this in later episodes, but there is functionality in Yoda that allows you to lift all of the projects within a single folder, so that way you don't have to cd into each and one of them and lift like you would with a Docker Compose. Really helpful if your ops team reboots your machine and you don't have Docker restart policies enabled, or if something wacky happens and you just need to get everything up and running on your dev box. So, yeah, so that's basically a quick introduction on how to get it installed on your machine. Let's just go through a quick demo. So, there's a project out there that I've been working on, that I've shared through Yoda, and one of the main benefits and features of Yoda is the idea of repositories, and you can of course have both public and private repositories. And the idea is that you set up a configuration file through Yoda. These configuration files look a lot like Docker Compose or Fig, that have essentially Docker run commands in them. And what ends up happening is you share these configurations, and people can summon these configurations from your machine, from your repository, and basically it will set up the project as you specify. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you the configuration file and what it looks like. So what we're going to do is we're going to inspect a project of mine called Casey Merrill slash How. And you can see here, there's a description, notes, requires. There's a couple of things in here, but there are a few things in here that should look pretty familiar, like the P for publish, V for volume mounts, things of that nature. So, so what we're gonna do is we wanna, for the sake of this demo, we wanna go ahead and summon this. So, Yoda summon Casey Merrill. How? And actually, before I show you that, you can actually, by default, out of the box, see all the repositories that you have access to and all the projects. And you can see here, right here, that Casey Merrill How is available. So again, that was just simply Yoda repos to see what you get out of the box. So, so we're going to go Docker PS here, and you can see that there's not a How project running. And if we go to a new web address here, we'll go to how.caseymerrill.com, and you can see here that there's no service available behind that. So we're going to do a Yoda summon Casey Merrill How. And what this is going to do is this is going to download the configuration file. It's going to put all the contents in a folder called How, and then it's going to simply run all of the commands necessary to get this How project up and running. You can see here there's a couple other containers that are required for How, one of which is a container called Automagic Proxy, and we'll go into that. Even though it's not a Yoda thing, it definitely was built in conjunction with Yoda, and again, we'll go over that in a later episode. But note here that it ran Composer. It also ran a git clone. It built containers, it ran containers, and of course it's volume mounted specifically for you. So now if we take a look, we'll see here now we've got this How folder, and you can see now that we've got all of our code checked out, composers run, and if we do another Docker PS here, you can see here that our How container is running. So now if we go over to how.caseymerrill.com, guess it helps if I spell it right, how.caseymerrill.com, you can see here that the application that I've shared with everyone is now available through the public repository, and by simply summoning it, I have it all set up. And if we take a look here, this is just a pusher clone, if you will. So we'll just simply curl it, and you can see here that the message came through okay. So that tells me my application is working. And this application required Composer, it required a MongoDB instance, of course, all of the code necessary to get it working. And then again, another aspect was being able to go to how.caseymerrill.com required other containers to be lifted in this project as well. And Yoda went and did all of that for us. And not only did it do it all for us, it went ahead and actually showed us all of the steps that it was doing. Okay, so now that How is all set up, basically let's go ahead and take a look at what Yoda's done. So Yoda's, it looks like, has checked out Composer, has cloned a repository, lifted all the appropriate containers. And again, all of this is based on the Yoda configuration file. And that configuration file, of course, has a maintainer. And there's a couple important steps here that Yoda's done. There's a setup step that basically says, hey, have I ever run this project in this specific folder before? And if the answer to that is no, which normally when you summon a project, the first time, the answer will always be no. It says run these setup steps, and again, the setup steps can be anything you want because they're shell commands. So composer updates, git clones, things of that nature. So really, your creativity is endless in that regard, because they're just simply shell commands. So once you've got all the code checked out, normally, and this is actually pretty quick and simple with like Docker Compose, um, uh, but the code is not on your drive and it's not vol mounted in the appropriate place. So yes, you can get the project up and running, but it's a lot easier here with Yoda to actually begin working on it. So we'll actually take a peek here. So if we refresh the how project, it comes back and we're good to go. So if we actually were to open up um, one of the files here, we'll edit the routes, and we'll just edit the index page to display a silly message. So save that, and we'll go ahead and refresh this, and you can see here that you can display a silly message. So not only has the maintainer of this project got you set up and running within a matter of minutes, they have you set up and running in a matter of minutes in order to, to start working on it. So um, so that's basically Yoda in a nutshell. Of course, there's a whole lot that we didn't cover, but those will come in later episodes. So stay tuned and see you next time.